Hello, and welcome, my friends, to the next video in the Create Better Content series, where I show you how to tap into your creativity to stay consistent with your marketing and reach more customers. My name is Penny, and I'm going to be your guide through this unique content development process. I'm going to teach you how to create engaging content, remarkable content, amazing content, all of this stuff that goes with your sales pages and your email sequences, and all of these things combine to help you reach more qualified customers. And if you want to learn more about creativity and how this can help you develop your content marketing plans, I would love to see you hit that button below and subscribe to this channel. And below in the description box, you are going to see a whole series of links. One of the links that you're going to see is for the Content Calendar Blueprint program. This is an email-based training. It's a comprehensive guide that's going to show you how to develop a content calendar. And it's going to be based on what your business needs and what you're trying to accomplish with your goals. So it's an amazing program that'll take you through everything from understanding how to set up your content calendar to the actual content and the strategy that goes into it. Another link that you're going to see is so that you can subscribe and join us at the Marketing Strategy Collective program. This is my group content marketing program that we do on Patreon. We get together once a month on our Zoom calls to talk about our challenges, to help each other out, and to give each other feedback. It's a supportive group online space to help you with your marketing, no matter what business that you're in, no matter whether you're the business owner or a marketing manager, all of those things, we are here for you to help you. So you see the links and you know what to do to learn more. All right, so today's video, I want to talk some more about storytelling and how it's connected to sales. But what I want to focus on today is I want to talk about those things called testimonials. You know, those really nice, kind words that we get from clients that have worked with us, you know, that say all kinds of amazing things about, oh, it's so wonderful to work with her, and I really did this, and amazing, you know, call her, I highly recommend, you know, all of those kinds of things. But there's a way that we can turn these testimonials into a story-powered sales tool that actually works without you coming off sounding like, you know, some hawking car salesman kind of thing. Now, I know that when we get testimonials, it's like a really big deal, and we all get really excited about it, and then we put it up on our website, or we share it in an email message, and we're like, hey, look, here's a quote from somebody. They're so happy that they worked with me. Look here. You know, but what happens when we can take that information and we can really use it, when we can use this testimonial to tell a customer story and do it in a strategic way that the person reading it or hearing it or seeing it really does much more than just say, hey, this is a good business, or hey, working with this person's a good thing to do. It makes them actually start to build trust with you. And if you do this correctly, you can find a way to turn this copy into a way to answer objections even before the person reading that sales page even asks. So let's start here. Let's start with the understanding of why testimonials are good, but using a testimonial in a story is even better. So let's talk about this, because there is a difference between a testimonial and a customer success story. A testimonial is something that's like, I was working with Penny and she was so amazing, so helpful and professional. Highly recommend. You know, exclamation point, thumbs up, or whatever emoji or whatever you want to put in there. And that's really great, and it's always wonderful to have somebody say this kind of stuff about the work that you do and the person that you are and the services that you create. But that kind of testimonial is also kind of super generic, you know? I mean, I could have dropped anybody's name in there and it would have been helpful and professional and highly recommended, you know, but I want it to be more about you and your business. And that's when we bring a story in. So let's think about what I just shared with you in that testimonial, and I could turn it into a story by saying something like, let's see here. Before working with Penny, I was stuck in this content cycle. It would be overwhelming. I would get a momentum. I would get posting up there. I would be consistent for a week, and it would stop. It was just this thought. It was this overwhelming content cycle going around and around and around. And it got to a point where I didn't know what to post. My engagement had flatlined. But within 1 month of going through her content calendar blueprint program, I actually booked 2 new clients. And I felt excited to show up online because I had a strategy and I had a plan in place, and I actually knew the things that I needed to say so that I could close these 2 new clients. See, now we're talking. Do you hear the difference between that testimonial and that story that I just shared? She was still working with me, and it's still amazing. I was still helpful and professional, and she would still highly recommend me. But there was so much more, because this version, the story version, describes the before, her pain point, her struggle, explains this process, talks about the content calendar blueprint program. It shows the after. I booked 2 new clients. I felt excited to show up online. And it includes like emotion. I was feeling this. I was stuck here. But then when I booked 2 new clients, I felt excited. You know, it makes it memorable because people can connect to these emotions. People know what it's like to be in that pain point. People know what it's like to be looking for a solution. People know this transformation that they are looking for too, this after part that you're talking about them with them. So testimonials will give you customer proof, but stories give you customer proof and the connection that's going to get somebody to take action, because that connection is what drives the conversions. The connection is what makes more sales. So how do we do this? How do we get this stuff together and actually write these client stories for our testimonials? Because just, telling me highly professional, would recommend, is not something that you could use to write a story that I just shared. So the best way that you're going to do this is, instead of just asking for a testimonial, you've got to ask better questions. So instead of just saying, hey, can you write me a testimonial? Guide them through, where you want them to go. You could say something like, I'm pulling together some client stories for my content. I'd love to hear about your experience in your own words. Here's a few questions to make it easy. Feel free to answer the ones that speak to you. You don't have to answer all of them, or however you want to set this up. I do something like this when I have wrapped up one of my client projects. I immediately send them, a whole bunch of questions, because I think that sometimes when you ask people, can you write me a testimonial, you're going to end up with so professional, so amazing, highly recommend, versus I felt like this, then this happened, and then this was my result. So if we can ask better questions instead of just saying, hey, can you give me a testimonial, you're going to have a better opportunity to tell a better story. So some questions that you could say are like, what was going on in your business or your life, depending upon what the product or service was, before we started working together? What made you decide to try this service or program or product? What was the process like while we worked together? And then you want to make sure that you can get into the depths of this a little bit more, so that way you can create a better story. So you want to make sure you ask a question like, what changed for you? Or what were the wins? Did you have a change in your confidence, mindset? What were your results? Is there anything you'd like to tell me more about the process that you went through and the experience that you went through? You can also basically wrap it up and saying, what would you say to somebody if they were considering working with me? That's a type of question. So it's not a yes or no answer. It's something where they're going to have to spend some time and use, their own words to describe what their experience was like with the product, with the service, with working with you. Because when they answer these are the type of questions that are going to pull from them the answers that you need to create and write the storytelling, sales. Sometimes I mess up a whole sentence. So when they answer these questions, this is what's going to give you the content. That's what I was looking for. The content to write the storytelling sales post that you're doing, the storytelling sales email, or whatever it is that you're pulling together. You know, and I got to tell you that whenever I send this out to my clients, they love this. They love this so much better than when I just say, hey, write a testimonial, because it gives them a place to, you know, to answer it in a way that I give them these prompts. And you could do this in email. You can set this up in a Google form, or you could even have them, you know, meet you real quick for a Zoom call, and then you can record it and then run a transcript on it later. There's lots of ways that you could do this to make this really easy for your client, and it gives you so much more content. It gives you so much more of an understanding of their experience that you can share in a story like this. So now you've got your testimonial story. How do you actually turn this information into the storytelling framework that we've been talking about? The storytelling framework of the S3 framework, which is struggle, shift, and solution. How does all of that fit into it? So let's work through this here. So if we think about this, I'm going to go through the S3 again. The S3 is struggle. What was the situation before? What was their struggle? What was, you know, what wasn't working for them? What were their pain points, their challenges? You want to make sure that you're sharing that. And then the shift. What did they do or try when they worked with you? What happened when they used the product? What happened when the service helped them? There was a shift, a mindset, a confidence, an understanding of how something works. You know, there's going to be a shift between where they were before, and then it's going to take them to the after. And the after is the solution about what happened, what changed, what were their results, how did this product, service, or whatever it is that they're giving you a testimonial about, how did it change them, and to what were their results and their solutions that they saw actually come into that. So let me apply this into the story. Let's go back to that first example that I was giving you about somebody who was struggling with their content. So let's talk about this. Let's see here. Here's an example. So, so let's start off with the struggle. Okay, so when Sarah came to me, she was stuck in a cycle of last-minute posting and inconsistent engagement. She had tried content batching, but was always burnt out about halfway through the month. Okay, so now that was the struggle. The shift is, so Sarah bought the Content Calendar Blueprint program, and then when she worked through it, she started to understand her unique voice. She started to see that she didn't have to force herself into somebody else's formula, and that this program actually showed her a way to customize her content calendar and to turn it into a system instead of just a whole bunch of squares about when she was going to be posting on Instagram. It gave her organization. It gave her the ability to create a strategy, and it showed her how to implement the plan. So her results, the solution became, so 2 months after she started to develop her process and went through the whole Content Calendar Blueprint program, she actually had her first viral Instagram reel come out. And from that Instagram reel, she booked 3 new clients, all because she was being consistent. Her content became more intentional, and it was something that felt natural to her and organic to the way that she speaks and the way that she shares her information. And she was also able to stop this cycle of overwhelm because she had a plan in place, because the Content Calendar Blueprint program showed her how to actually set up the system to make sure that she was consistent and that she always was able to post with frequency and intention. There you go. So there's a sentence. There's a whole story there for you. And you can take this type of story and you can share this like a case study in a blog post. You can turn it into a carousel on LinkedIn. You can set it up as the intro into the email funnel. If somebody was to download a product or service for you, you could use this as a client highlight in your next, sales webinar. You could set it up as a video on YouTube or something like that. So there's lots of ways that you can take this story and share it on social media, share it on your email, share it in your sales funnel. You can turn all of this testimonial stuff into a sales tool. So if you think about this, so if you've got this whole thing written up, you want to make sure that you're using this in as many places as you possibly can, because now you've got this, and it's not just a testimonial. You've actually created a customer success story. So you can plug this into your sales pages, right under the, so if I could put this whole story, let's say that this really happened, I could put Sarah's story on the page that I'm selling the Content Calendar Blueprint program. You could use this in your email marketing, as the hook to lead somebody into, as you're sharing the next offer for your product. Here's what happened when a client tried this, something along those lines. You could definitely be sharing this, on social media platforms, as I shared, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn carousels, all those kinds of things, because what's going to happen is that when you are frequently showing how your clients are being successful, and you're going deeper than them just saying, hey, I booked 3 clients, I booked through 3 new people, you can tell the story of how it happened and share their transformation. It becomes more of a story than it is about you just trying to promote something that you're selling. You can definitely be using these stories in your discovery calls or your workshops, talking about client stories that align with the potential customer that you're on a discovery call with, or the people who are attending your workshop. It builds credibility, and it helps people see themselves in your story. It helps people picture what could happen to work with you or to buy this product. The thing about it is, when people see statistics, they just skim through them. But stories, when they read a story, it connects with them, it sticks with them. So the more opportunities that you have to share stories, the more opportunities you have to build trust. And when you can start building trust, and we can start sharing these kinds of stories, this trust is what leads to more sales. So think about how you can use this framework, the S3 framework of the solution, shift, and the struggle. And then look for ways that you can break down your testimonials. Look for ways that you can share your customer success stories in a way that it does the selling for you. So if you can send these kinds of questions and then use it into this S3 storytelling structure, you can turn a testimonial into a really strong and compelling client story journey. And then you can just let all of your happy clients speak for you, and that they're telling a story that your community can see themselves in. So thank you so much for joining me today on this creative journey. If you've enjoyed this content about content development, I hope you'll hit the share button, and let's keep this conversation going. And if you found this information helpful, and if you want to learn more about storytelling, you can subscribe to this channel, because every single week I'm going to be doing more and more in-depth stories, more in-depth information about how your stories can start to sell for you. I'm going to be talking real strategy, real results, marketing tips for small business owners like you who want to grow without feeling like you are just having to be consistently online and just in front of your phone 24/7. And if you do want to go deeper than this, come join us in the Marketing Strategy Collective on Patreon. This is where we take all of these concepts that I talk about in my videos, we turn them into action. You get monthly strategy workbooks. We do creative brainstorming. We have a community of kind business owners who want to market themselves differently, and we get together every single month on a Zoom call to talk through our challenges and to help each other out. So stop working in a solo bubble and come join us at the Marketing Strategy Collective on Patreon. It's a collaborative space that's going to help you with your current marketing efforts. The link is below, and you know what to do to learn more, to get the marketing help you need, because I want to see you get real growth in your business. Because you are magnificent, my friend, and let me be the first to say, I'm proud of you. Until next time.